Yay. You laugh, but no CVEs reported this year. So, yes, inaugural joke. Right, red team, black bag, golden ticket or white elephant. The idea was doing a red team. There's a lot of mythology out there about there. So what actually is a red team and what does it look like, I guess was the idea I came up with for this talk. So first, I'd like to thank the Crikeycon team for inviting me back for the second year after I hit a butt plug in my first slide last year. So apologies for that. Right, so about me. So I've been doing IT, networking, security for about 20 years. You can tell I've been around for quite a while. I'm not a pen tester. My background, network engineering. I'd love to be a pen tester, I'm just not that pointy-headed. I'm currently the regional director of Hivint in New South Wales. We're a professional services cybersecurity consulting company that's growing really fast. I had to find a picture, and this is all I came up with. So the explanation is, when I was a kid, I watched it was Return of the Jedi, and I decided I wanted to try and do telekinesis. And I read that Benjamin Franklin said that if you can put your mind to it, you can achieve absolutely everything. I spent 7 or 8 years staring at various bits of fruit, trying to move them. And eventually I did it. I proved Benjamin Franklin wrong. You can't make an orange move with your mind. So jump straight in, what is physical red team? So I'm talking about physical red teaming, but there's a lot of corollaries. There's a lot of similar crossovers to red teaming, so I'll try and explain those. But effectively, what I was attracted to, the idea of physical red teaming, is having spent my whole life watching bank heists, the idea to get paid to actually go and break into a bank was kind of what I imagined it to be. I used to spend my time as a kid, because I was born in an age before consoles and computer games. Me and my mates, probably about the age of 8 or 9, used to dare each other to break into each other's houses by shimmying up drain pipes and climbing through toilet windows. And then we used to troll each other by putting Vaseline on drain pipes and stuff like that. So it's probably, I've been doing this for quite a long time. I've never actually, I don't fit through toilet windows anymore, but the passion in me was always strong. So in the real world, what it looks like is you'll talk with an organization to work and come up with a set of flags, and those flags might be actually get physical access to a premises, clone an access card, you might try and get into the comms room if you get into the premises, you might try and steal a secure disposal bin, you might make a call from an internal phone or get an IP address on their internal network, or you might drop a phone plug or a Dropbox in their network so you can, so your real pen testers can come and do some interesting technical stuff. When I'm selling red team pen testing, the angle is pretty much that the point of a red team, and this is the same with network-based pen testing. The main point to me, or my perception, is that what we're trying to do is raise the game of the blue team, which is interesting in Australia when you consider that not a lot of organizations have blue teams. So they have a networking guy, they might have somebody whose kind of job has been shoehorned, a security role has been shoehorned into that. But he's not a blue team in the sense that he's looking at logs and alerts and real-time metrics, and he's going to, it's very rare that you do a pen test and actually people will say, hey, we saw you doing it. And it's the same with physical red teaming. So actually doing a physical red team on an organization that doesn't have security guards, and all you have to do is walk in behind someone and let them hold the door open for you, is pretty poor sport. So that's why there's not an awful lot of physical red team work in Australia, because I don't believe we've reached that level of maturity here yet. So the hardest part of a physical red team, obviously lowering yourself down from the ceiling on a wire. I think the hardest part, does anyone want to have a guess what they think the hardest part is in this? Oh, speechless. I think the hardest part of a physical red team is firstly social engineering somebody into letting you write a proposal to do red team penetration testing, and then social engineering a purchase order from that. If you can do that, then everything else is just going to fall into place. And that's why people are disinclined to pay you to tell you something they already know. They're disinclined to pay you to make them look like an idiot. Sometimes they'll want to pay you to make someone else in the organization look like an idiot. It's kind of like this passive-aggressive thing. The chief security officer is an ex-copper. he's an idiot, I want to show him up, which again is a bit of a minefield. They won't tell you they don't want to pay you to tell them about a problem they simply cannot fix. So it's all very well to get in and then tell them that they need to put a man trap on their front door if that's really going to make everyone's, the workplace awful and no one's going to like it. And they're not going to pay you to do something that's going to piss off a lot of people. So again, very difficult thing to sell. If you're up for a challenge of that kind of magnitude, if you're not up for that kind of challenge, then red team pen testing is not for you. The other thing to bear in mind is this thing, James Mickens from Microsoft came up with this concept of the Mossad, not Mossad threat model. And it's essentially either Mossad are after you or they're not. If Mossad are after you, there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do. They're going to get you. And then there's this kind of middle space where it's either your ex-girlfriend who's stalking you or it's an organized criminal, and you then bring your defenses to that level. And this is, if we're talking about red team penetration testing, it's poor sport to drive a tank through their front doors and say, hey, I was able to get access. So you have to work with an organization to understand what their threat model is, and then the exercises you engage have to kind of meet them halfway. The other thing is there's an awful lot of BS around red teaming, especially physical red teaming. So this is, I think, roughly, and bear in mind, I haven't done an awful lot of statistical analysis. This is purely plucked out of thin air, like most good statistics. The number of people who talk about red teaming versus people that actually do red teaming, and then the number of people who talk about physical red teaming versus people that actually do physical red teaming. To prove a point, I'm up here giving a talk on physical red teaming. I can count the number of physical red teams, true physical red teams, on one hand. So, physical red teaming, to conclude, it's better than sex. Everyone lies about how much they do. Everyone lies about how much they've had. Everyone lies about how frequently they do it, how good they are at it, and how long it takes them to do it. The only difference is, with physical red teaming, you smoke beforehand because you're hanging around by the fire escape hoping someone's going to let you in after a cigarette. Okay, now I did promise I was going to switch it up. As we did last year, we're going to play a game. And I'm pitching this to Channel 10 if it works. It's called, Is My Tool Hot or Not? Right, so the important part of Is My Tool Hot or Not is I need 4 contestants. And when I was imagining this moment in my mind, this room was totally full. And what I did is I asked some of the Crikeycon staff to stick 4 stickers underneath various random chairs. And if you can find one of those stickers under your chair, then you're a contestant. If not, you might need to have a shufty underneath the chairs around you. You're looking for a B sticker and also a number. Sorry about this. Think of this as kind of like a physical red teaming capture the flag exercise. Try not to tear the whole room apart. Have we got a winner yet? Sweet. Are those pants hot or not? Not hot, yeah. Correct answer, good work. All right, I'm going to do very quick introductions. So, number 1.
Aaron.
Where do you work?
Right Solutions. Valdemar, Brook Security. Warren, uni student.
It's all right. Chris, Cert.
Sir Chris?
Cert.
Sir, sorry. I thought you were a lord. Okay. With all good competitions, there's a massive prize that's been wrapped by a man. So apologies for the wrapping. That will be, you're all winners already, as you'll notice. You've got a nice metal ruler thingy. All will be explained. Okay. We're going to have a practice question to make sure that this kind of works. So the concept is, imagine that you've sold your very first physical red teaming, and the night before you're packing your black bag with all the tools you need. I'm going to show you some things that you might put in your bag, and you've got to decide whether they're hot or not. Whether, I think, in my opinion, and it's purely my opinion, so don't hate me if you disagree with me. Guaranteed a lot of you will. And the idea is that I show you a tool, you decide whether it's hot or not, and then if you agree with me, you get a point. If you disagree with me, I frown on you, you don't get any points, and you're less likely to win the amazing prize. Okay. As everyone with this. First example. Soldering iron. Hot or not? Okay, so hot. It's a physical red teaming engagement. You've got to get access to a building. You've got to talk your way in, social engineer your way in. You've got to get through doors, get past security guards. Soldering iron, hot or not?
Temperature-wise? Not the night before.
Yeah, so,
Night before.
okay, so 421 degrees Fahrenheit, it says there on the picture. That's pretty hot, but no. Soldering iron, absolutely no use in a red team engagement.
Not the night before.
Organisations typically frown upon you if you try and torture the security guards into giving you access by burning his hand with a soldering iron, and it would be really awkward to try and plug in as well. So there's just a tester, so don't worry too much if you got that one wrong. You good? So Jeeves, my lovely assistant, is going to be doing the scoring because he's good with numbers and stuff. Okay, round one. That's not a knife. A big old knife. It's got screwdriver attachments and stuff. Would you want that in your black bag? Bear in mind, it's only a 30-minute talk. Okay. You don't want a knife in your bag. You could hold it to the throat of the security guard. Personally, I think it's bad form to go on a job tooled up, because it's just, yeah, I can't see a good need for a knife on a pen testing engagement. That's just me. Other people might like to have a tool nearby. Okay, a multi-tool. Yeah. No arguing. Next, torch. Blind the security guard as you run in. Shine it in his eyes. Possibly whack him over the head if it's a big enough torch. Come on, hold or not. You're not out. Give me the nod when you've documented the responses. I like the fact there's no consensus here. You good? Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be tooling around in the dark. Most officers have lights. I've probably got a phone in my pocket with a torch on it. Again, it might depend on the engagement, but this is just my opinion. I think it's great being in charge. Next, really old-fashioned telephone. This is what's called a floor tile lifter. So whilst I haven't actually used this on a physical red team engagement, I did once lock myself out of a room in a telco and used one of these to go under the floor. It worked quite well. I could get in the cage in the data center as well. So, no? Yeah, I think floor tile lifter might come in handy. But it's right on the cusp, to be honest. If you knew you were going to get into a data center that had a cage in it, maybe. If you were feeling optimistic that you were going to get that far.
I'd expect them to leave them lying around.
There we go. You enjoying this? I'm the Grant Denier of cyber. Don't forget, you can play along at home. You can shout out answers and everything. Next one. It's a good one. Lockpicks. Everyone thinks lockpicks are hot. Question, have you been outside and had a go at lockpicking? Yeah? You good, Sajib? So again, now this is the controversial one where everyone is going to hate on me. I think lockpicks are brilliant, I love them, but unless you're Deviant Ollam, your chance of actually getting a lock open whilst your hands are shaking, because this is what happens on a physical red team, and kneeling down in front of a door in an office kind of environment is going to look a little bit suspicious. I think probably the edge case would be if you got into a comms room, popping the door on a rack. So again, it's on the cusp, but I think overall, I think lockpicks are hugely, hugely overrated for these type of things. And that probably says more about my skills with a lockpick. Anything else? So sorry to all the people I've offended. Pick pals, sorry. Next. This is called a pick gun. It's kind of like lockpicking for people that aren't very good at lockpicks. Locksmiths use them a lot. Draw which conclusions you will. We're all saying hot. Yes. Look, I think you could probably justify having one of those. This is a bit clicky. But yeah. Props. Hard hats, high-vis vest, clipboard. Yeah, and predictably everyone's gone for hot on that one. Too easy. Pro tip, you can often find these lying around, especially the white hard hats in offices the fire warden will have on his desk. You can legitimately nick it as long as you give it back later. I found if you have a high-vis vest, everyone will just obey you without question. if you're in a high-vis vest with a clipboard in the fire escapes are gold dust in Red Team Pentest, no one is going to question you. And if they do start questioning you, just get your clipboard out and start questioning them back, and they'll run away. Hard hat's also useful if things fall on your head. Just saying. Okay, shims. Yeah, predictably, everyone's gone for shims. So this thing on your, I'm dyslexic, so on your left is called a hall pass. Costs about $25 from the US. They're always sold out. The other thing is, I've got one here. There it is, about $25, always sold out. Limited use, and the thing at the top is called a shim gym. They're pretty handy, but they're expensive. And they're hot. Lock. So I'll give you a sort of demo later on, but effectively you're manipulating a lock. So rather than picking a lock, you're hooking the latch and pulling the latch back on the door. And a lot of, the types of doors that are closed by proxy token strikers, often those are an absolute cinch to open with one of these things. But I'll come to something more interesting. Okay, how are we going after round one? We good? Do you want to do some scores, or should we jump straight into round two? How are we feeling? Should we break for some ads? I'll let you. There you go.
So number 2 and 3 are tied at 5. Number 1 is tied at 4, and number 4 is tied at number 3.
Oh God, it was a bad idea to get you to do the scores. What have I done? Okay. It's yeah. 3's tied on 4 with himself. Is it? No, 3 and 4 have 3. Oh dear, sorry. I can. Sajib, start writing an apology letter to the customers. Okay, let's jump straight in. So, under the door tool. Has anyone seen an under the door tool? Under the door tool looks like a big wire coat hanger with a like a garrote attached to it. Lily, that I work with, ordered this thing came from Canada. It took ages to arrive, and she was really excited when it arrived. This is the general idea. You hook it under the door, and if you've got a latch, you've got to sort of kneel in front of the door. The door needs to open away from you. It needs to have a flat handle with a lip on it. The handle needs to be at the right height. You need to know there isn't someone on the other side of the door. You need blah, 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 blah. Hot or not? Not hot. I'm going to show you how it works. Sorry. Here we go. Ooh. This is someone who's spent hours and hours and hours, probably years practicing this. Here we go. Here we go. Look at that. Right. So, when I saw Lily use this for the first time, I was like, it's the most impractical, ridiculous thing. It looks like you're trying to garrote a giraffe. You've got to kind of keep it. You can't pack it up and put it in your bag so much because it bends. However, after writing this slide deck, I had a chat with Josh, who did a talk earlier, the guy who was doing the Microsoft Paint talk. And he told me that he's just done a pen test. And I said, how'd you get in? He goes, under the door tool. So it's hot, apparently, against my better judgment. Okay, next one. A drill. Famed, it is an impact driver. I think it's better than a drill, because you might not just want to drill through a lock, you might want to undo the hinges on the door or disconstruct things. Good question. Typically, don't break stuff. Yeah, not hot. Oh. Yeah, I think if you're going to, certainly you can't destroy a lock with a drill bit. If you're going to take a door off its hinges, that might be a bit of a stretch, and you might have to have a big conversation with them. I think probably how it would play out was you'd go around and you'd have an assessment. And if you honestly thought that was the only way you were going to get in, then you might have a chat with your stakeholder and say, hey, I've got this idea, I want to take the door off its hinges. He'll run it past legal and they'll go, nah. So I think not hot.
Pair it with a fluoro vest.
Oh, fluoro vest it will cover a multitude of sins, but I'm not sure an impact driver is one of those sins. Smartphone. I gave you a clue earlier on with the smartphone thing. Yeah, I think by far the most useful tool to have in your bag, or probably your pocket, that you could possibly have. Obviously, it's hot. taking pics of the passes. So an engagement we did, we took pictures of a pass on somebody's belt as they crossed the road in front of the building. And we then bought the little plastic badge holders that they were using, and we printed our own, we photoshopped our own passes, and we walked past security guards, and we were good. We needed to take pictures of evidence of where we'd been. So here's me in the comms room doing a little dance. Taking pictures of the fire evacuation maps, which are really nice when you're writing your report afterwards to say where you've been. If you can say, well, here's a floor plan, this is where I went, and this is how I got in. Pretending to talk to someone as you when you're tailgating through a door, having a phone, talking to on the phone, just removes any suspicion that you're doing something dodgy. People are a bit wary about you following them through the door unless you're talking on the phone to someone weirdly. The other thing is playing Candy Crush in the toilets for 12 hours while you wait for everyone to leave the office so you can run amok. So bring your charger. Okay, next one. Candle. Presented as seen. And I know that the flame is hot, but that's not what I'm getting at here. That was the... Are we all got an answer? Oh, bit of lag down as it goes down the line. Bit of latency. Not hot. Yeah, it's a red herring. You can use candles for interesting things. You can use them to get images of keys, but getting an image of a key is kind of the red team equivalent of if I've got admin, I can get admin. Point waste of time. Get out of jail free card. Taken from your Monopoly set. Everyone says hot. Yeah, for sure. So your get out of jail free card in physical pen test is the letter that's written by your stakeholder that says, hey, before you phone the police, phone me and don't beat this guy up. Interesting story, we once tried to sell a physical pen test to a casino, and it got to legal, and legal stopped it because they were concerned about their liability if their armed guards found us and shot us before they asked us questions, which kind of, when we didn't win that engagement, I was like, ooh, and then I found out why, and I was like, yay. Also, a get out of jail free card is really good for lowering your blood pressure because you've got stones like coconuts when you've got that letter in your back pocket. It's a great thing. Now, the other thing that I thought about, I haven't actually done because I've never needed a get out of jail free card other than to lower my blood pressure, is making your own fake get out of jail free. Having a crack at using that before you give them the real get out of jail free card. But then the problem is, by the time you're pulling out your second get out of jail free card, they're probably on the phone to the police already, so might be worth a gamble. Hot, everyone says? Hot? Yeah, for sure. Oh, grappling hook. You know where I'm going with this stuff now, don't you? Yep. Are you a ninja? No, you're not a ninja. Grappling hook, I can't imagine any scenario where having a grappling hook would be a good thing. Not hot. It's too easy now, isn't it, Sajib? I made it easier so you could keep score easier. Okay, this is an A1 portfolio. Presented as seen. Hot, hot, hot. Oh, everyone thinks, why do you think this is hot?
It's another prop.
It's a prop.
It's yet another prop.
It's not a prop.
Is it mag shielded?
It's not mag shielded. It's straight from Officeworks.
Put documents in it.
You could put documents in it, but this one's empty.
It's empty when you go in.
Anyone want to change your mind? It's just a big piece of plastic with a handle. Okay. I was hoping everyone was going to go now. Has anyone seen one of these in an office? So I've got a theory, I've never actually used one, that one of those would be really handy for tailgating through one of those, but I've yet to try it, so I'll report back on how I go. So I think it's hot. Okay. This device. Not hot.
What is it?
It's a device presented as seen.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Seriously.
I think number 3 has an idea. Let's just say where that's supposed to go, you don't want it to be either hot or cold. And apologies to the Crikeycon crew once again. The Crikeycon crew. Gosh, digging a hole for myself. It doesn't have Wi-Fi. But you can get Wi-Fi underpants, so it wouldn't matter. Wi-Fi protective underpants, apparently. Bump keys. Bump keys, hot, 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 hot. So the thing with bump keys is bump keys really stuff locks up. And they're kind of hard to use. If you've ever tried using one, they're shocking things, and they make short work of pins in locks. So it might work first, second go, which if you're an attacker is not a big problem. But by the third or fourth try that you try and do it, the proper key won't ever work in that lock again, and it will be an expensive exercise to fix that. So that's not on my list. Okay. Do you want to have a crack at doing the scores? You want me to do the scores? Okay. We have Aaron, number 1, with 11. We have, oh no, we've got a tie. We've got Chris, number 4, with 10. Well done for making up some ground. And then we've got number 2 and number 3 with 12 points. So we need a tiebreaker, which is going to be tough off the top of my head. So, first person who can tell me what species the mascot of Crikeycon is. So what species? You said Droppy.
Droppy the koala bear.
You're saying Droppy the koala bear? Do you want
Or the drop bear, actually.
Specific.
Dropping the drop bear.
Oh, what do we think?
Depends on whether you consider drop bears a species or koala.
I would.
I mean, it's a trick question. It's totally a trick
Oh.
question at this point.
Droppy the drop bear is a subspecies of koala bear.
Yeah, which is
What was the temperature on the soldering iron?
Sorry, what was
What was the temperature on the soldering iron?
420 degrees.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Okay, I've got a few more slides. It's like Alice. It's a never-ending story. I think you won that. That's fair. Apologies to the people who didn't win. They should have got the prize for the trousers. Okay, I've got a few more slides. I'll try and keep it as quick as I can. Okay, you're all given a number under your seat. So I want you to keep your numbers secret. I'm going to call out some numbers. If I call out your number first, I want you to make some noise, okay? Get really excited. Everyone else is going to get really excited. So I'm going to go through some numbers. 2, 4. Number 4 has to check again. 5, 7. You've all got 7.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Damn. All right, really sucks to be on the 7th floor of my hotel at the moment. Very confusing. The reason you've all got number 7 is because I showed you the shims earlier on, and there was the thing that cost $20, and the thing that cost $40, and they take forever to arrive. Well, if you're going to Bunnings and you buy a number 7, it makes a very good cheap shim. And I will give you a demonstration of. Oh. So this is me doing the demo. There's a typical crappy, badly closing door. There's my number 7, which I've sharpened with a rotary tool. And that's how easy it is to open that door. Now, when you do that on a pen testing engagement, you end up writing a report that says you should install a door plate or a guard plate, which looks something like that. And then the following year, you come back and do the same engagement. And you buy yourself a metal ruler from Officeworks. And you can either sharpen it sort of pointy ways, like the example here, or you can put a little curve on it. I think the bottom one is better. Now, I wanted to make a video of me demonstrating this, and I wasn't able to find a door that I had permission to open legitimately. And I tried a few that I didn't have permission just because I love you guys, and I couldn't get in. Right now, the thing with this is the door needs to open outwards, obviously. As usually the case with external fire doors, by law they have to open outwards because it would be awkward if everyone got shoved up against the door in an evacuation scenario. There needs to be enough room between the door and the jar, which is 80% of the doors that I've seen. The bolt needs to not be fully engaged, so that the curved bit that shows that catches on the striker plate and pushes it in and then comes out again. If that bolt goes all the way in, it's been installed by a very good locksmith and it's new and clean, then you'll have real difficulty using this. But I think about 50 to 60% of the doors, you can just pop this in the top, slide it down, and bang, the door will open. That will get you in the fire escape from outside, and from the fire escape, you can easily use this to get onto the floors in an awful lot of buildings. And that's that. If you get through the fire escape, my tip is to try and find a wiring closet, and the wiring closet will, if you're lucky, have some notation about where the sort of main cables are going to, like a data center or something, not a data center, a comms room in a building. And then you go to that floor, find the door that sounds the noisiest and the buzziest, and that might be the comms room. And if you're lucky, you'll get in there with the number 7. And that's my talk. Thank you.
We've run a little bit over, so Eric will be around the Savo outside if you've got questions or want to steal his rulers. But another round of applause for Eric. Thanks.